After the high school entrance examination, instead of attending the prestigious youth class at the University of Science and Technology, my mother thrust me into the most renowned elite high school in Beijing, in a transaction aimed at securing my sister's admission. I was used as a bargaining chip. It is said that the students there would remain unfazed even if the heavens themselves were to shatter. Upon the commencement of the school year, my sister introduced me as the child of her family servant, insisting that my classmates should not hesitate to call upon me for any assistance. Instantly, the eyes of my peers fixated on me like bulbs illuminating in the darkness. Sending shivers down my spine, I braced myself for their ridicule, but instead, they remarked, "Pfft, what era are we in? Calling her a servant's child? We just refer to our caregivers as Andy, now. Is this year's top student following a script of enduring humiliation while being a dragon among men? She seems so well-behaved, resembling a BJD doll. I'd like to keep her. Count me in." They truly began to raise me, putting on a facade of nurturing as they plumped me up by 10 pounds, and introduced me to numerous esteemed mentors. Subsequently, my envious sister conspired with my mother to confine me at home just before the college entrance examination. That night, dozens of luxury cars lined our alley. A group of elegantly dressed individuals coldly gazed at my mother. "Are you trying to court death by withholding the top student your lady has raised?" Throughout my life, my mother frequently reminded me, "You owe your sister a debt that you must repay for a lifetime." The debt she referred to can be traced back to our birth. I weighed over 4 pounds at birth, while my sister, Wang Miao, weighed a mere 3 pounds and a bit, spending a month in an incubator due to asphyxiation. Thus, when Wang Miao failed to gain admission to high school after the entrance exam, my mother's first reaction was to slap me across the face amidst Wang Miao's wails. "You can attend university at 15. Is that something to boast about? If you hadn't taken away your sister's nourishment and time at birth, would she be unable to attend high school? Wang Shu, you owe Miao Miao. You must repay this debt." As a result of this repayment, my university spot vanished. I was packed off to the most famous elite high school in our area, with my mother negotiating my sister's admission in exchange. 99% of the students there choose to study abroad after graduation, while the remaining 1% usually consists of the school's top students. On the reporting day, Wang Miao leaned in close to my ear with malicious intent to enlighten me about the school. "Wang Shu, you're doomed. People like you are surely the targets of bullying. I heard that last year's top student even jumped off a building and ended up paralyzed. I warn you, once you're in there, you must not disclose our relationship. Otherwise, you wouldn't want to face a beating at school and then another at home, would you?" I remained silent, huddled in the corner of the car, cold sweat soaking my back. The air of the new school reeked of affluence. Wang Miao's steps grew more buoyant as she approached the classroom, and just before entering, she darkly reiterated her warning. "Do not mention our relationship." I bit my lip and tugged at my faded coat, glancing at her luxurious attire, bought with a loan from our mother. Her worries were utterly unfounded. Given such a stark contrast, no one would believe we were sisters. As we pushed open the door, the raucous laughter of the old money crowd abruptly ceased. A barrage of scrutinizing gazes swept over me, sending goosebumps racing across my skin. It was evident that Wang Miao was also somewhat intimidated, her gait slightly unsteady. I hung my head low, daring not to raise it as I followed her, hoping to blend in. Suddenly, a frivolous voice broke the silence. "New girl? Aren't you going to introduce yourself? You too are this year's top students?" "No," Wang Miao's voice rang out, loud and a tad too excited. Her face flushed with color as she turned to point at me. "She's the top student." After a brief pause, she raised her voice again. "She is the child of my family servant, here to take care of me. We're all classmates, so feel free to call on her if you need anything." Her words hung in the air, met with an oppressive silence in the classroom. I looked at her in disbelief. Her cheeks were flushed, yet her chin was held high, the Bulgari necklace around her neck glinting in the sunlight. Had I not known that my home was merely down the alley, I might have thought for a fleeting moment that she was a lofty princess. However, a few low snickers soon broke the tension. "Wait, the child of a servant? Are we liberated now?" Listening to that makes me feel like I've been transported back to the Republic ERA. This year's top student following a script of enduring humiliation while being a dragon among men? She looks so obedient. I'd like to keep her. I've never had a top student under my care. Count me in. Until I finally settled into my seat, I was still somewhat dazed. The curious glances that had greeted me upon entering the classroom seemed to have morphed into something more exhilarating. Yet, the shadowy glances Wang Miao directed at me hinted otherwise. This did not seem like a misfortune, and I lowered my head and secretly curved my lips into a smile. I must admit, watching Wang Miao face a setback felt as refreshing as sipping a cold soda. At that moment, my desk was gently tapped twice. I instinctively turned my head to look. A flawless face came into view. The beauty smiled at me, her open palm revealing several candies wrapped in shiny paper. "May I take care of you?" I nodded, dazed. She smiled again. Just as I was beginning to gather my scattered thoughts, they unraveled once more. Of course, I couldn't be blamed for this. Luo Shuang was the belle of this school. When she smiled, my heart lost its way. After the report concluded, I found myself in a daze. Luo Shuang had already embraced me, who was still reeling, and declared from the podium, "This is someone I've raised. I protect her. Anyone who dares to bully her is challenging me, understood?" The classroom erupted into a chorus of cheers. "Sister Luo is so formidable. Sister Luo, I want to raise her too. Let me invest." I shrank my neck, standing at the podium, feeling as if I were a prized item at an auction, so precious and significant. Yet, in the next moment, Wang Miao's venomous glare sent a chill down my spine. She shot me a cold smirk, and my previously tumultuous emotions plummeted to freezing point. Thus, Wang Miao and I officially embarked on our school journey. Wang Miao had a monthly allowance of 8,000, while I barely scraped by with 500. Just as I pondered how to earn more, I rummaged through my desk and unearthed a stash of snacks. Before I could contemplate further, a hand stealthily rested on my shoulder, and a voice like a cursed specter whispered in my ear, sending my hair standing on end. "Top student, when you eat, you must abide by the rules." I swallowed hard, trembling all over. Not far away, Luo Shuang chuckled softly. The hand on my shoulder abruptly withdrew, and a black card was roughly shoved into my palm. It was the school's unlimited meal card. Don't end up like the last top student who starved herself. With that, a boy sporting a head of vibrant green hair yawned and sauntered away. After class, Wang Miao cornered me in the restroom. With a gleeful expression, she asked, "How did you provoke the campus bully?" When I looked confused, she kindly explained that the green-haired boy was Lin Songmu, the most notorious bully in the school. It was said that those targeted by him ended up in a vegetative state. What a delightful fate. I touched the card in my pocket, shivering involuntarily. Wang Miao probably didn't care to hear my answer. She disdainfully glanced at me while blowing on her nails. "Forget it, as long as you listen to me. I'll protect you." By protect, Wang Miao meant I would become her minion, fetching her meals, and she didn't forget to threaten that if I disobeyed, she'd tell on me at home. When I placed the tray before her, she was animatedly recounting her vacation in Australia to new classmates. Catching sight of me, she raised her voice. "Hey, are you moving so slowly to starve me? You're utterly useless." Her new friends offered a few forced chuckles, their gazes flickering awkwardly between me and Wang Miao. I remained silent, turning to leave, only to collide with a girl glaring at me. I recognized her as Song Yu, Luo Shuang's best friend, who had been the loudest to proclaim her intention to invest in my upbringing from the podium. She shoved me aside with irritation, and a glossy plate of braised pork, along with its thick sauce, came crashing down on Wang Miao's head. Wang Miao froze, her eyes bulging. Song Yu, with a stoic expression, slammed the empty plate onto the table in front of Wang Miao. "Do you really think everyone in this school is a fool? All your credentials mean nothing to us. Or have you become so engrossed in your Australian tales that you genuinely believe you're a pampered princess who can't lift a finger?" In this place where the affluent gathered, boasting was not frightening. What was terrifying was being exposed in the act. Wang Miao's face turned pale, and the two girls across from her silently withdrew. She sprang up, pointing at me. "It's her. She volunteered to help me." Ignoring her, Song Yu turned her attention to me. "When we said we'd support you, we meant ensuring you have the resources to excel, not to serve as her maid." I opened my mouth, and in her narrowed gaze, I hurriedly nodded. Song Yu frowned, disapprovingly. "Your skin is devoid of moisture. If you excel and end up in the papers looking like this, it'll be a disgrace to our class." She handed me a bag of skincare products. I clumsily clutched the paper bag she thrust into my arms. At that moment, I understood. I had not encountered a savior, but had stumbled into a new jungle. The rules here were different from those on my little balcony, and even distinct from an ordinary high school. Here, my grades and potential had become a form of capital to be invested in, while Wang Miao sought to trample me to elevate her own status. Luo Shuang and Song Yu aimed to uplift me to validate their judgment and authority. Though their motives diverged, the outcome was that I had, for the first time, acquired a sense of value, and this value became my shield. When I returned to that cramped balcony after school, my mood was markedly different. I carefully retrieved the candy Luo Shuang had given me from my backpack, unwrapped it, and popped it into my mouth. It was sweet. Because Wang Miao had been doused with food, I was dragged out of my dreams that weekend and given a thorough thrashing. This beating was harder than any I had endured before. The crack of the belt against old wounds mixed with my mother's sharp curses. Meanwhile, Wang Miao stood by, her lips curling in smug satisfaction. I gritted my teeth, refusing to cry, swallowing the metallic taste of blood and sweetness back down. On Monday, as I stepped into the classroom, each stride sent cold sweat trickling down my back. Wang Miao relished finding ways to torment me. Sure enough, during break, I was cornered in the gym by a boy from the adjacent class. He shoved a crumpled note toward me. Top student, will be in the same exam room for the monthly test. You know the rules. I looked up just in time to see Wang Miao and a few girls from the other class chattering together. Upon catching my glance, she smirked mockingly. The tall boy in front of me began to grow impatient, pushing on my shoulders. Hey, are you listening? You wouldn't want to refuse, would you? Do you even know who my father is? Terror nearly engulfed my rationality, but seeing the gleeful glint in Wang Miao's eyes ignited an unprecedented surge of defiance within me. I trembled as I declared, I've told you, I want to help you cheat. With that, I squeezed my eyes shut. Yet, the anticipated pain never came. Instead, a cry of pain echoed through the air. I relaxed and opened my eyes. The boy who had just threatened me lay on the ground, clutching his stomach. A clean sneaker was planted on him, and Lin Songmu, the green-haired bully, scoffed, Hey, Mo Tsong, that little company of yours worth millions only intimidates top students. Huh? How about this? Guess who my father is? The boy limped away in fright. I too wished to flee, but Luo Shuang, Songyu, and Lin Songmu surrounded me from three sides. Lin Songmu kept patting my shoulder, his narrow eyes glinting menacingly. I say, top student, taking care of you seems quite the hassle, he said, striking my injury. Pain flared and my vision blurred. Then, everything went black as I collapsed before his astonished gaze. In the final moments of consciousness, a crude and frantic voice echoed, Damn it, did I just kill someone? When I regained awareness, I found myself in the school infirmary, still positioned in the same triangular arrangement as before my blackout. Luo Shuang, Song Yu, and Lin Songmu stood vigilantly at my sides, their gazes fixed intently upon me. I sluggishly curled deeper into the blankets, only to have them mercilessly yanked away, revealing Lin Songmu's green hair swaying before my eyes. Exceptional student, what on earth happened to you? With a swift motion, his green-haired head was forcefully shoved aside. Song Yu inquired, Do you wish to stay at school? Luo Shuang, putting away her phone, added, Let's go for it. I've already taken care of your boarding arrangements. As I stood in the dormitory clutching a modest amount of luggage, gazing at my designated bed and desk, I was engulfed by an unsettling sense of unreality. I remained oblivious to what they had done to Wang Miao. The only thing I witnessed was her tearful packing of her backpack the next afternoon as she moved to a class in the adjacent building. She kept her head down, avoiding my gaze entirely. Strangely, my parents did not come to meddle either. Thus, under the almost tyrannical protection of Luo Shuang and Song Yu, I transitioned peacefully from the first year of high school to the second. Yet, it seemed that Wang Miao's situation had deteriorated. The school organized an educational trip, taking us to the outskirts for a camping excursion. As night fell, a massive bonfire blazed at the center of the campsite. Luo Shuang pulled me to the warmest spot amid the crowd, stuffing my hands with an array of barbecued meats and snacks. Amidst the din, I inadvertently caught sight of Wang Miao not far away, precariously balancing several bottles of drinks while cautiously navigating around the throng. A boy, seemingly impatient with her pace, snapped at her, causing her to shrink back and repeatedly apologize, her frail silhouette illuminated by the flickering flames. I was not unfamiliar with her pitiful state. At school, I often observed her ingratiating herself around her classmates, her demeanor submissive like that of a servant. In the darkness, it seemed our eyes met for a brief moment, her weary gaze locking onto mine before she averted her eyes. After the bonfire gathering, I strolled to the nearby creek to catch my breath. As I approached the water's edge, I faintly heard soft footsteps behind me. Turning around, I found Wang Miao emerging from behind a tree. Her face, cast in the mottled moonlight, contorted with jealousy and resentment. You think you're so proud, don't you? Her voice rasped as she advanced toward me. With all those people fawning over you, have you forgotten who you are? Wang Shu, why do you deserve to live better than I do? I instinctively took a step back. Wang Miao, what do you intend to do? I want you to disappear, she hissed, lunging at me. her hands forcefully pushing against my chest. The creek was strewn with slick pebbles, and caught off guard, I leaned back, bracing for a fall into the frigid waters. Just as I thought I would plunge in, Wang Miao lost her footing due to her excessive force, let out a short yelp, and tumbled down the steep slope beside the creek. Frowning, I glanced toward where she had vanished, hearing her pained groans from below. After a few minutes of hesitation, I turned and rushed back to the camp to seek help. That fall had fractured her ribs. The next afternoon, my mother stormed into the school like an enraged lioness. She bypassed the infirmary entirely and headed straight to our classroom. "Wang Shu, get out here." Her shrill voice shattered the corridor's calm. "You dare to harm your sister. I'll kill you." She burst into the classroom, disregarding the teacher at the podium, and lunged at me. The familiar terror gripped me as her palm, akin to a fan, swung towards my face, rendering me nearly immobile. However, the blow never landed. Song Yu, seated in front of me, abruptly stood and seized my mother's wrist. Tall and youthful, her eyes glinted with cold resolve, exuding an undeniable aura. "Auntie, this is a classroom." My mother paused momentarily, trying to break free. "Who do you think you are?" "I'm disciplining my own daughter. It's none of your business." Luo Shuang leisurely rose as well, crossing her arms and stepping forward. "Your daughter? You consider her merely an accessory to gain entry for your precious little girl. Yet now that she seems to possess some value, you come to play the benevolent mother and assert your authority?" My mother faltered for a brief moment, her face turning crimson as she trembled with indignation, pointing a shaking finger at me. "Is this how you conspire against your sister at school? Well then, let us see if I dare to beat you today." Yet, she couldn't reach me. Our class monitor and several boys blocked her path. "Auntie, please mind your conduct. Our school's legal department is not to be trifled with. I trust they are well acquainted with you after your previous domestic violence incident with Wang Shu." I was momentarily taken aback, while my mother visibly recoiled. Yet her pride forbade her from retreating in front of a group of adolescents. Ignoring their presence, she chose to dig her own grave. "You're all in cahoots. The wealthy band together to bully us poor." The more she spoke, the more agitated she became, nearly jabbing her finger into Luo Shuang's nose. "You rich kids are rotten to the core, dressed to the nines, yet your hearts are darker than ink. You conspired against Miao Miao, forcing her to switch classes, and now you wish her dead. Is it just because you have a little money? Is that so impressive?" "Indeed, having money is quite impressive," Lin Songmu interjected, kicking a chair in front of my mother with a defiant air. His demeanor was haughty, a tone of disdain in his voice, as if regarding refuse. "I am wealthy, and I am brazen. My wealth allows me to make someone disappear without a trace. My wealth ensures that your life henceforth will be filled with unbearable misery. My wealth permits you to stand here like a foolish clown, thrashing in impotent rage." My mother's complexion shifted from red to green, then to pale white. She pointed at us, her lips trembling, yet unable to utter a single curse. The classroom fell into a heavy silence, all eyes coldly fixed upon her. She recoiled slightly, then belatedly sensed the fear closing in. Glancing around at my classmates, she retreated a couple of steps. "This is a society governed by law. Just wait, I will sue you all." With that, she stumbled out of the classroom, her steps uneven. As soon as she exited, the imposing aura surrounding Lin Songmu dissipated. He scratched his head and turned away, the icy demeanor of the privileged young scion vanishing. He even hesitated momentarily, casting a glance toward the direction my mother had fled, murmuring softly, "Did I say something a bit too harsh?" "Too harsh." Song Yu shot him a look, her tone devoid of reproach yet laced with a sense of vindication. People like her need to have the truth thrown in their faces before they realize fear. Reasoning? Does she even understand that? The class monitor sighed in relief, adjusting his glasses. As long as the desired effect is achieved, that's what matters. However, Lin Songmu, your final words about disappearance and unbearable misery sounded a tad villainous. Next time, perhaps tone it down a bit. A classmate chimed in with a grin. "Wow, Lin, you were incredibly cool just now. An Oscar-worthy performance. Did you see how pale Wang Shu's mom turned? She ran off as if being chased by ghosts." "Exactly. Let us see if she dares to cause trouble at school again." The atmosphere in the classroom shifted from the earlier tension to one of lightheartedness. My classmates chattered excitedly, some teasing Lin Songmu, while others gathered around me. "Wang Shu, are you alright?" Luo Shuang sighed, pulling out a tissue and gently dabbing at my face. "Why are you crying? Your tears are precious. They're not worth shedding over someone like her." It was then that I realized I had been shedding tears without realizing it. I choked out a quiet protest. I'm not crying because of her. The tissue on my face paused momentarily before becoming even gentler in its touch. Luo Shuang smiled. Her lips pursed in a manner reminiscent of the time she vowed to support me, yet this time, her smile bore a hint of triumph. Humph. It was agreed that I was under her protection. I nodded vigorously. They truly had nurtured me remarkably well, each in their own way, gradually satiating my long-starved soul and parched heart. My mother's threat of legal action against them ultimately sank without a trace. After Wang Miao recovered, she withdrew from school. I resided in the school dormitory, never returning to that previous home. My parents tacitly bypassed me, no longer intruding during the winter and summer breaks or the New Year festivities. Perhaps they intended to intrude. I once overheard a conversation between Luo Shuang and Lin Songmu. The days surrounding the spring festival were critical. I had arranged for 2 individuals to keep watch, ensuring that her parents would not disrupt us. Lin Songmu's voice sounded somewhat nonchalant. Rest assured, my father's security team has seasoned veterans on duty, keeping a vigilant eye. Not only her parents, but even a stray fly attempting to approach the school would be interrogated. Luo Shuang replied with an affirming hum, "Handle it discreetly. Do not impose any pressure on her. What she requires is an utterly serene environment to excel in her college entrance examination." Moreover, the dormitory supervisor had also been briefed to pay special attention to her during the holidays. However, since they wished for me to remain oblivious to these matters, I would act as though I knew nothing. I immersed myself more fervently in my studies. With each municipal examination, my scores soared to new heights. I truly became the living emblem of this institution. The board member, a portly old man, was said to be the driving force behind the elite student program. During this time, I often glimpsed him outside my window, grinning as he observed me. Upon catching my gaze, he waved, beckoning, "Wang Shu, come here." Without waiting for a response, he thrust a file folder into my hands. "This is your reward." I stared, bewildered, at the stacks of cash within. Thus, while consistently securing the top rank, I also morphed into a young heiress. One Friday afternoon, Song Yu unusually set aside her cosmetics to tap on my desk with her phone. "Hey, this weekend, don't just languish in the library. Come with me to a place." I looked up, puzzled. She raised her chin, speaking casually. "My uncle leads a team at Q University, handling information competitions. Aren't you quite interested in that? It's better to glean insights than to puzzle over things alone." My heart skipped a beat. Q University, the sanctuary of countless science students' dreams. Luo Shuang leaned in from beside me, adding, "Lin Songmu's father's company collaborates with the T University laboratory. There's an open day next month. And he secured a slot for you. You should experience the atmosphere of a top-tier institution." She winked, suggesting I get a taste of elite academia before potentially entering it, lest I appear like a country bumpkin. They spoke with such casualness, as if merely arranging an ordinary weekend outing. Yet I understood that they were, in their own way, paving a pathway for me toward a broader horizon. As the college entrance examination approached, the classroom grew increasingly silent. However, this silence differed starkly from the oppressive atmosphere typical of graduating classes, for 19 students within this cohort had already received offers from prestigious overseas universities. I remained the sole exception, destined to take the domestic examination. They ought to have been the most leisurely individuals at the school, embarking on global adventures or indulging in parties and games. Yet they did not. They continued to arrive punctually for class each day. While I buried myself in 5 years of exam preparation and 3 years of simulations, the murmurs of SAT vocabulary and subtle sounds of TOEFL listening floated from beside me. They remained, in their own ways, steadfastly by my side on this battleground devoid of retreat. During breaks, when I rubbed my aching eyes and glanced up, I would often find a warm cup of coffee or an energy bar mysteriously awaiting me at the corner of my desk. Lin Songmu would insistently offer me the smart pills he had procured from abroad, reputed to enhance memory. When the pressure became overwhelming, occasionally causing me to frown at a challenging problem, Song Yu would set aside her fashion magazine, lean over to take a glance, and then offer me insights with her unique perspective. Luo Shuang would unceremoniously close my books during prolonged study sessions, dragging me to the playground for a few laps, claiming it was to prevent my brain from overheating and crashing. In such an environment, I was nurtured, enveloped in warmth. The day before the entrance examination, Luo Shuang and the others forcibly snatched the pen from my grasp. Lin Songmu had dyed his green hair red. He declared earnestly, "You must connect with nature before returning to your studies. Otherwise, your brain will turn to mush. I have $1 million on this bet. This investment must not fail. A sharp smack echoed as his red head was playfully struck. I couldn't help but laugh. We noisily ventured to a nearby park. Lin Songmu even attempted to feed swans with breadcrumbs, only to be comically chased away. In that moment, I truly forgot about the impending exam. Until, upon exiting the restroom, a rough hand suddenly covered my mouth and nose from behind. I struggled desperately, my vision blurring, and just before losing consciousness, I heard a sinister laugh. Ha! So high and mighty, huh? Let us see how you fare when you fail the entrance exam, because you refuse to help me cheat. When I regained consciousness, I found myself in a musty room, my hands and feet bound, my mouth taped shut, only able to emit desperate whimpers. An object flew toward me, and I swiftly turned my head to evade it, only to discover a figure lurking in the shadows. Wang Shu, do you think those wealthy heirs will let you off the hook if you miss the entrance exam? They've wagered millions on you. Wang Miao emerged from the shadows, her pale face alight with excitement. If they lose millions because you can't even enter the examination hall, do you think they'll lament the money or your fate? I froze in place, unwilling to witness the disappointment in Luo Shuang's eyes. Wang Miao, noticing my expression, grew even more exhilarated, delivering a sharp slap to my face. Cackling madly, Wang Shu, look at you now. Do you know how we've been living these past 2 years? Those people are lunatics. You deserve this. Just as despair enveloped me, a distant rumble echoed from outside. Wang Miao's expression abruptly shifted, terror seizing her as she turned towards the window. Then whipped back to glare at me. Impossible. How could? My heart raced. Wang Miao evidently realized something, and in a panic, she lunged at me. Attempting to untie my bindings, her words tumbling out in confusion. No, you can't be found. Why, but it was too late. At midnight, the old neighborhood lay in hushed silence. Outside my door, the low roar of engines approached like rolling thunder, a procession of vehicles pulling up, their headlights illuminating the narrow alley, as bright as day. Trapped within the confines of my room, I gazed through the window at an unforgettable scene. Dozens of luxury cars, typically seen only in magazines, blocked the alleyway completely. When the doors opened, it was not suited bodyguards who emerged, but my classmates. Song Yu, with a lollipop in her mouth, and Luo Shuang, wielding a baseball bat, were among them. Lin Songmu, with his disheveled red hair, impatiently directed a towering bodyguard clad in black. The class monitor, who often referred to me as the top student, was flanked by several of my classmates. Behind them stood family assistants or butlers, exuding an air of respect and authority. My mother, clad in her pajamas, gazed in bewilderment at the door being dismantled, her legs giving way as she nearly collapsed to the ground. As Song Yu stepped forward, the lollipop stick twirled at her fingertips, producing a crisp sound that carried an icy chill. Annie, I've heard that you've detained my family as top scholar? With mere hours left until the college entrance examination, are you courting disaster? The last 3 words were uttered softly, yet they made my mother tremble visibly. I am educating my own daughter, my mother stammered, attempting to assert parental authority. Your daughter? Lin Songmu interjected with a derisive laugh. Ever since you forced her into our school, she has ceased to be solely your own. She is a collective investment project of our entire class. Do you comprehend? Your current actions constitute malicious destruction of a valuable asset. Stop wasting words with her. Another classmate, visibly impatient, glanced at his watch and began to lead the way. Has she any means to compensate for disrupting the scholar's sleep? A few composed individuals, resembling diligent assistants, approached with polite yet unyielding demeanor. Madam, please cooperate. Naturally, my mother refused to comply, attempting to create a scene. Before long, she was restrained by several bodyguards, along with the howling Wang Miao. At precisely 12:10 a.m., I settled into Luo Shuang's extraordinarily comfortable car. My classmates offered a chorus of consolation. Luo Shuang handed me milk and melatonin. It's our failure to protect you. I stared at her, an impulse prompting me to ask, what if I don't achieve the top score? Luo Shuang furrowed her brows, regarding me as if I were foolish. If you don't, then you don't. Lin Songmu leaned closer, adding, but remember, I am your angel investor. With a sharp smack, Song Yu gave his red head another thump. Yet, I found myself smiling through teary eyes. During the 3 days of the examination, I was bestowed with unprecedented VVIP treatment. The chef at Luo Shuang's residence prepared a variety of nutritious meals. Song Yu's family doctor remained on standby, anxious to alleviate any stress-induced ailments. Other classmates took it upon themselves to eliminate all distractions, even negotiating with cicadas outside the examination hall to quiet their incessant chirping. As I entered the examination room, my mindset was strikingly serene. On the day the results were announced, our entire class gathered at Luo Shuang's home. In just over half a month, we would scatter to the far corners of the world. Luo Shuang sat beside me, dressed casually. She didn't look at the screen. Instead, she turned to me, her tone as calm as if asking about the weather. Nervous? I inhaled deeply and nodded honestly, a little. Lin Songmu, still engrossed in his game, muttered, "It's fine. If you don't score high, I'll send you abroad." With a swift motion, his head was pressed into the plush cushion piled high with snacks. Murder. His voice was muffled beneath the cushion, his limbs flailing helplessly. Songyu withdrew her hand in disdain, casting me a fleeting glance. Don't heed his nonsense. It's bad luck. Luo Shuang chuckled. Indeed. Letting him go abroad would be a waste of foreign currency. At least here, he can contribute to domestic consumption. Laughter erupted among the others. Unbeknownst to us, someone whispered, "Time's up." Suddenly, all chatter ceased. The silence in the living room was palpable. Dozens of eyes turned in unison toward the enormous electronic screen. The butler had already navigated to the final step of the query page, awaiting the entry of my examination number and password. I inhaled deeply, approached, and with trembling fingers, keyed in the digits one by one. Then, I pressed the enter key. The page refreshed. "Oh no, it's stable," I exclaimed. "Wait, there are no results?" "Oh no. You fool, the top 50 have their scores concealed." Instinctively, I glanced back at Luo Shuang. She leaned back against the sofa, smiling at me. In the next moment,
my phone rang.
The class teacher's voice erupted. "First place. Wang Shu, you are the top scholar." This announcement resonated clearly through the suddenly silent living room. Time seemed to freeze once more. What followed was an even more frenzied, uncontrollable eruption.
Wow.
Officially certified. The teacher had gone wild.
Ha ha ha.
I earned 2 million from the neighboring class. This is my first bucket of gold. My classmates screamed and cheered, champagne spraying wildly. Lin Songmu rushed over, attempting to lift me up, only to be thwarted by a single glance from Luo Shuang. Songyu handed me another bottle of champagne, exclaiming, "Open it yourself. This is your moment." A profound wave of happiness surged through me, washing over every fiber of my being. With a forceful twist, the cork flew toward the ceiling, and golden liquid gushed forth, akin to the uncontrollable tears of joy streaming down my face. I raised the bottle high and proclaimed to everyone, my voice choked yet resoundingly clear, "Thank you. Thank you all." After graduating from university, I pursued my research under the guidance of Songyu's uncle. In my second year of graduate studies, I founded my own small company with all 19 classmates from high school investing shares. The company faced a challenging start, yet whenever I encountered obstacles, help would arrive just in time. Perhaps it was a phone call from Luo Shuang that introduced me to a crucial partner. Perhaps it was an offhand suggestion from Songyu's uncle that steered our development in the right direction. Perhaps it was Lin Songmu's exuberant efforts to procure resources from his father's company for testing. Or even the class monitor discreetly sending over a legal risk assessment he had painstakingly compiled during the night. Our small company, much like the me that was once escorted to the examination hall by everyone's support, gradually found its footing and began to shine in its niche under the protection of these remarkable angel investors. Following the successful launch of a new product, we celebrated in a restaurant atop a skyscraper in the capital. Outside, the stars twinkled brilliantly, while inside, familiar smiles surrounded me. We raised our glasses, no longer to celebrate academic triumphs, but to commemorate our company achieving yet another significant milestone. Lin Songmu was as boisterous as ever, slinging his arm around my shoulder and exclaiming, "I told you back then, I wasn't mistaken. Boss Wang, from now on, I'm sticking with you." Luo Shuang elegantly swirled her glass, remarking, "Indeed, this investment has shown a commendable return." I didn't miss the glimmer of joy in her eyes. Songyu chimed in, patting my back, "Make sure you don't undervalue us in the next round of financing." As I gazed at them, at this group of individuals who illuminated my life during its darkest moments, my heart swelled with boundless gratitude and strength. From that cramped, dimly lit room to now gazing down upon the city from a penthouse, the journey has been fraught with challenges, yet ultimately filled with warmth and vibrancy. I now possess a solid foundation for my life. At the very least, I can genuinely say that I feel profoundly happy. The end. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and give a thumbs up for support. Until we meet again in the next story.